Let's go straight to my next guest. Lord Toby Young is a Conservative peer and founder of the Free Speech Union and joins us to talk about, well, all things free speech or lack of it in this country. Very good morning to you, Lord Young.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Let's talk first of all about Hamit Coskun. He is the Turkish man who's sought asylum in this country, fleeing persecution in Turkey because he is an atheist and fleeing the Islamification of that country. He was convicted and fined last week for burning the Koran and disorderly behaviour, and blamed by the judge in the magistrate court that, well, we know it was disorderly because it provoked someone to lash at you with a knife and someone else to kick you in the street. So it must have been provocative, offensive behaviour. He has now been told by the authorities that his life is under threat. What's happened?
Yes, the police turned up on his doorstep at 2 a.m. on Saturday morning to notify him that they had identified a credible threat to his life. The conversation was a bit difficult because he doesn't speak English, and they were trying to interpret via a kind of online translation app. And he was told about various security measures he should take, but they refused to leave the notice, which included the advice about the security measures, with him.
So he could seek help about it, yeah.
So he could seek help. He only grasped some of it. And the Free Speech Union have written to Sir Mark Rowley. We wrote to him later on Saturday.
The Metropolitan Police Chief, yeah.
To urge the Metropolitan Police to do more to protect Mr. Coskun now that they've identified this credible threat on his life. It was the Met who identified the threat. And we think that the Met have a particular responsibility here, not least because they have a responsibility to protect asylum seekers like Mr. Coskun when there are threats to his life, but also because when he was initially charged by the Crown Prosecution Service, he was charged with causing harassment, alarm or distress to the religious institution of Islam.
Yeah.
And that charge was publicised by the Metropolitan Police. Of course, that's going to provoke some Islamic extremists. And they subsequently withdrew that charge because it was a nonsense charge, as pointed out.
It was a blasphemy charge, and we don't have a blasphemy law in this country, we keep being told.
Well, exactly. So we think they have a particular responsibility to do more to protect Mr. Coskun now that this credible threat to his life has emerged. And they turned up on his doorstep again in the small hours of this morning to notify him about more details of this particular threat and to advise him to install a security camera, which is quite difficult to do if you're, on benefits, which he is.
Yeah.
Anyway, we hope that now that we've written to the head of the Metropolitan Police, and
there might be some action. But here's the thing. We know that, look, there are lots of people that you and I know who have panic buttons in their homes. They have to not release information about where they are going to be because of Islamist terrorist threats that are routine. We know that many MPs have to face that as well. And yes, OK, some face extremism on the right. The largest threat, it comes from Islamist extremists. And this is the norm. We know we've still got a teacher, 5 years is it now? Batley Grammar School teacher still in hiding with his wife and 4 children as a result of threats. We never, weirdly, seem to hear about prosecutions of the people who make these threats. If there's a credible threat, presumably they know roughly idea who it might be from, and they could arrest them. Even, not amazing to try and find detail about this man's, given that it is caught on video of a man who's clearly identifiable attacking him with a knife. We understand that some charges have been brought, but not allowed to know the name of the man. Another man, a delivery driver, clearly seen kicking him on the ground openly. Easy to track a driver. You're on a bike. You're in your delivery. We know the company. Easy to track. Where this person was on their phone on the day. There never seems to be any police action tackling the people who cause this problem.
No, that's a very good point, Julia. So he was attacked by a man wielding a knife.
You can see it on the video.
You can see it on the video. That man, even though he announced his intention to kill Hamit Coskun, and attacked him brandishing a knife and slashed at him, has not been charged with attempted murder, but with assault. And in addition, as you say, the delivery driver who was passing and who got off his bicycle and started attacking him and kicked him to the ground and spat at him while he was on the ground. No attempt has been made to identify that man. He hasn't been arrested. 2 people attacked him in his then home shortly after the charges were brought, and he was bailed. He was in an asylum hostel, and 2 other asylum seekers, devout Muslims, attacked him, held him at knife point. They were arrested, but they haven't been charged. So it's as if the police are sending a message.
Yeah, it is,
that if you do threaten Hamit Coskun with murder, you won't be, you won't be charged with attempted murder.
Well,
you may not
again,
be charged at all.
This is like the people, who just really thought, well, if you hadn't written the satanic verses, Salman Rushdie, you wouldn't have brought this on you. And this is the thing: we do have a blasphemy law in this country, de facto, and it's not even involving the state. It is the fact that if you do something that could offend some extremists of the Islamic faith, but particularly the Islamist ideology, the likelihood is you will face severe, credible threats to you and your family, and that's why people keep their heads down and zip it, because they don't want to live in fear and hiding it for the rest of their lives, like the Batley School grammar school teacher. We have already got a blasphemy law. We don't even need one written into the statute books, do we?
Well, as you say, one of the really disturbing things about the conviction of this particular man, this political refugee, is that part of the prosecution's case was, well, it must have been disorderly behaviour. You must be guilty of disorderly behaviour because someone tried to attack you. 2 people tried to attack you as you were burning the Koran. And also, you must have caused members of the public harassment, alarm or distress, because had these particular individuals not been caused harassment, alarm or distress, they wouldn't have tried to attack you. That's effectively sending a message to Islamic extremists. If you want to enforce your blasphemy code, if you want people to be punished and prosecuted for breaching an Islamic blasphemy code, all you have to do is react in this irrational, extreme way and attack
criminal
the people
way
you identify as blasphemers, and you will effectively criminalise their conduct by doing so.
It is absolutely, it is so extraordinary, and the judge involved, I mean, again, I think we need to have a wholesale root and branch and look at all our judiciary. Can I ask you also about PREVENT, because I'm pretty sure this conversation will get us in trouble. This is the anti-radicalisation programme, PREVENT, supposed to be tackling, people, teachers refer, social services, please, look, we're concerned about this person, that they're being radicalised, whether it's online, whether it's something they've seen at school, getting it from home, and we know that they deal with not just Islamist radicalisation, which is the single biggest threat to the public in this country in terms of terrorism, but also far-right radicalism, but that's a much smaller proportion. But a document that has been seen in an online training course hosted on the government's website for PREVENT lists cultural nationalism as a belief that could lead to an individual being referred to the de-radicalisation programme, and concern about mass migration as a terrorist ideology. So if you don't think that we should have completely, if you don't not happy about uncontrolled mass migration to this country, whether illegal or legal, and you're worried about our national culture being under attack or being threatened and dissipating and disappearing under the pressure of new arrivals from other overseas, you're probably at risk of being a terrorist, and you need to be de-radicalised and re-educated. Toby, can you sign up for this course? Because I'd like to be there the same week as you. I think it'll be a fun bunch of people, because it's pretty much everyone we know. All of my audience, members of your union, and I'm thinking, the majority of the population of this country, isn't it?
Well, including, I think, the Prime Minister. This was a story broken by the Free Speech Union. So the partner of one of our senior members of staff discovered a PREVENT refresher awareness course on the Home Office's website. And this is a course that will have been completed by thousands of public sector professionals, people working in education, healthcare, etc. And a section of this course, a chapter entitled Radicalisation, categorises cultural nationalism as one of the most common subcategories
Yeah.
of extreme right-wing terrorist
There
ideology.
you go. What can you know?
And it defines cultural nationalism as encompassing the belief that, quote, Western culture is under threat from mass immigration and a lack of integration by certain ethnic and cultural groups poses a threat to social cohesion. That viewpoint, which, as you say, Julia, is very widely shared, including by, I think, the leaders of the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, and has been articulated by various prime ministers in the past, including David Cameron and Tony Blair, that recently arrived immigrants should do their best to integrate. And if they don't, that does pose a threat to social cohesion. That point of view has been identified as a form of extreme right-wing terrorist ideology in an official Prevent course hosted by the Home Office. It's absolutely extraordinary.
I'll get my handcuffs. But this is what we're dealing with, because this is what the authorities think of us. I mean, ordinary people's views, mass people's views. It is quite extraordinary, isn't it? I do wish they would invite the Prime Minister in for de-radicalisation and re-education. That would be fun to watch. Lord Young, always so good to talk to you. Keep up the great work. Founder of the Free Speech Union there.